Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live Art Maxing Takeover, the final day, which is kind of a bittersweet moment, but I would say more sweet than bitter because we have Ashley Dreyfus, one of my very good, very talented friends, on the show today. Ashley, welcome to your first time on Adobe Live and Art Maxing.
Thank you so much for having me. This is super cool to be a part of your show. I mean, I've been a long time fan and obviously just love getting to be included in a stream and talk about the process. So thank you so much for having me.
I'm really happy to have you. I'm glad that things lined up because I mean, for those that are unfamiliar with Ashley's work, Ashley is a very talented illustrator and someone that I've admired for a very long time for multiple different reasons. And we got to meet at Adobe Max, I think about a year and a half ago at this point, maybe a year ago. Um, Under some really funny circumstances, like just showed up at a party and I was like, oh, we're both here. And it was super cool. So definitely, but we've been, I think, mutuals online for a couple years at this point. So really cool to kind of be full circle here, be together, like hanging out, getting to see your process live. And I see there's already some people in chat. We've got Sean, we've got Cody, we've got Bree, Jack, all saying hello. Good morning, everyone. Let us know where you're tuning in from. But Ashley, for people that might not be familiar with your work or who you are, do you want to kind of give us an intro of who you are, what you do, and you know more about you?
Yes, yeah, just like a little slice.
Yeah.
I am I'm an illustrator and I would call myself a muralist, a mixed media artist. I grew up in Idaho and I made it out to Los Angeles and that's where I'm based right now. But my work and like my style is kind of inspired by a lot of different things, kind of the world around me and like my everyday routine. And I would say like vintage clothing and fashion and like pop culture, music culture is like a huge motivator for like my art. My style is like very colorful, psychedelic, draw like a lot of animals and like kind of humanoid characters that I call alter egos. And so yeah, like a lot of my work is inspired by what I see out in the world and how I interpret like buildings, trees, coffee, like my love of just life and like my everyday routine.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things that I admire about your work so much is like you encapsulate this era, but like in an updated way that doesn't feel like I don't shoehorn is like a super inappropriate term, but like more of what I mean is like, when you feel like there's someone that's like maybe pulling from an era too much and maybe not capturing the full image. I feel like you pull from that 70s psychedelic aesthetic, but then you kind of like make it your own thing. It's like this is nothing I'd ever see in the 70s, like at the time, but like this is like a reimagination of it. And it's really cool. And I love your character work too. Like it's very cute. I'm a sucker for an anthropomorphic face. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, thank you. It's really fun. Like throughout the years, I've just continued to refine like the characters and the way I like to draw things. I mean, I love happy trees, things with
Yes.
faces. Just
Yes.
turning everyday objects into lively characters and things. It's really fun to continue to revise and to reimagine things in like my everyday work. Yeah, and I forgot to mention, but a lot of my work like started when I was like 19. I started
Mhm.
doing what I called a 365 drawing a day project.
Whoa.
And at this point, I just had like a little Wacom like plug-in tablet to my computer and had a dream, not a lot of
Yeah.
money, and was using a paint tool If anybody in the chat's
Mm-hmm.
ever used that
I'm
program, it is
familiar.
very simple, but yeah, I just took to that and YouTube and was reaching out to friends in my community who were actually going to like college at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't pursue like art school or anything and was just drawing and sharing on Instagram every single day. So that's like really how I developed my style, like when I was first like getting into like the creative community, and it's just led me to a lot of cool places, clients, and like obviously like has brought me to this like current style that I work in with my sketches and my digital drawings.
Absolutely. And I think that first of all, woohoo to self-taught art because I also did not go to art school and I feel like it's worth calling out and celebrating because not everyone does. So a lot of people have been going to art school. We had a conversation with that on our episode 2 days ago. But yeah, I mean, I think that like seeing the progression of your art and also like speaking to the testament of people in the community that are willing to share their process and share their experiences and help you kind of grow your style is what this is all about. Like, I think it's really sick that there are people out there that aren't trying to just gatekeep stuff. They're very open to sharing their process. It's funny because Cody in chat says, I used Paint Tool Sci before I used Photoshop. So very big testament to the program, I would say, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it all gets the job done. And like I
Hmm.
said, YouTube University is what I used to call it.
Hmm.
Just being able to search something and immediately like have that support and gratification and not be so frustrated with opening like an app and not knowing how to use it or how it tailors to like the art that you make.
Right, absolutely. And I guess this is kind of a full circle moment for that as well too, because like you are the YouTube University today. A lot of people watch Adobe Live to kind of learn about drawing processes and teach themselves self teach themselves on how to use the programs more efficiently. And well, that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to pop over to my screen over here really quick because I do want to plug your Instagram. I'm very thankful that Cody dropped all of your links in the chat. But if you're unfamiliar, again, with Ashley's work, they have been all around the sun and more in terms of projects and things that you've done that are just, I don't know, in my opinion, so cool, especially this, but we'll get into this in a little bit. I'm not going to jump into the, my biases, but really, really huge testament to your work and the things that you do and, how many different avenues you've crossed over. It's super sweet. And I'm really excited to see even these murals here are so sick. I'm very, very excited to see that process today. But before we pop into it, I know we're covering so much ground right now. I do want to lay some ground rules, not for you, but for people that may be unfamiliar with art maxing. Art maxing is an Adobe Live game show where artists get points just for doing things that they enjoy doing, which is drawing, designing, showing the creative process. And thanks to the lovely Firefly boards, we have everything right in the middle of Firefly boards. For this demo today, we will not be sharing the Firefly boards with Ashley just because she'll be working on an iPad, but I will be controlling all of the reins. And if you go over here, if my computer decides, or keyboard decides to turn back on. It likes to turn off by itself, which is so much fun. Here we go. We'll zoom all the way over here. You'll see that we've had a leaderboard going on for the course of the week. So just so you know, Ashley, you're going to get on the leaderboard regardless. So you don't have to worry about there being any pressure. We've had some tied points, things like that. And we'll link your art on the leaderboard as well. And maybe we'll link out this Firefly boards for people if you want to have your own little art competitions. But yeah, essentially how the show goes is we will have some secret prompts, which I'll go ahead and pop up on screen right now. And if Ashley hits any of these secret prompts at any point in the show, you will see this point and you'll get a point on the board. We also have some mini games, some fun stuff, just all peppered in while we're doing this today. I'll be, jumping around, dancing around on Firefly boards, watching your screen, watching your design process. But enough of intros. I think people should feel very prepped. And yeah, Drew, happy Friday. We're up, we're ready, we're warmed up. It's Friday time, weekend's coming. Ashley, are you ready for me to switch over to your iPad screen and to let us know what you're hopping into?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Let's go. Okay, I'm on your iPad screen now. So we have a sketch, a very, very beautiful sketch, by the way.
Do like a little zoom in. It's
Yeah.
very like intricate and my sketches, oh my God, are a little crazy. So just don't mind me. It will make sense once we arrive at the final destination.
I love them though. I feel like it tells so much of a story already, and like with this being your rough sketching, it's like, dang, I need to step up on my rough sketching because I'm doing blocks and circles and triangles, but I already feel like I
No, I mean,
understand so much about the piece.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, most of my work, if I'm not sharing it, like this, it
Hmm.
definitely would have been even crazier. But I just wanted to make sure that our audience could really follow along and kind of see what was happening,
Yeah,
even if we don't
yeah,
finish everything.
totally.
So yeah, I've got like cute little guys. This is kind of like a city scene. We've got like little frog on a bike and a little bird on a bird scooter.
It's really cute. I was thinking that,
And
but I didn't want to say it. That's so sick.
yeah, no, it's we just like to have fun over here.
Hmm.
This girl likes to have fun.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I'll start over here. I've been really like into drawing pieces from my closet, like incorporating that into a lot of my work.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, it's been interesting. And like right now, just to like explain what I'm doing,
Yeah.
I actually have made my own brushes, which is really
Oh,
fun. And yeah, so in case people are curious, I just take this basic round brush and you can edit it. There's like a little setting over here. I won't get into it too much,
yeah,
but if
yeah, yeah.
anyone's interested, like afterwards, you can totally like DM me and I can share with the class.
That's so sick because I feel like that's something I don't really utilize with Fresco. For people unfamiliar with what program we're using today, we are using Fresco. This is Adobe's iPad, I guess, specific software. I mean, tablet generally speaking, because I believe it's also on like what do you call it? On a Microsoft tablets. I don't know what you'd call them, but this has been, I feel like, my bread and butter for a couple of years now. Like ever since I made the big switch from Illustrator to this, and the power of it's pretty insane. And I feel like I don't even really utilize all of the techniques, especially what you're showing off today. Like even just to call out, like it looks like you're drawing on like a watercolor background, not just like the blank background, like a textured with paper background.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, this usually I arrive at this state like at the very like last point before I'm like posting a drawing. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so what I'm using today is actually a paper texture from the company Retro Supply, which
We
that
love
is
Retro Supply.
always in my toolkit as an illustrator. I'm using like I think this one is called the RSCO rice paper is my
Yeah.
personal favorite like and then I also toggle between using True Grit Texture Supply as well.
Yup.
They're an Australian-based paper texture and brush company. They're so good. Like it
Mm-hmm.
has helped my art so much over the years with like again kind of creating that vintage like newspapery like texture in my work that I really like strive for.
100%. And I mean, I think that's again something that I don't really utilize as much as I would like to, just because I feel like texturing just adds a completely different layer to illustration. And it also is something that I don't want to say takes necessarily like less work, but it is something that takes a little bit of pressure off of what you're adding on to your illustrations. Like you're not having to, I don't know, add like, when I think of like textures previous to like digital, it's a lot of like cross hatching, stippling, things that like are very in involved. And sometimes I just want to be able to lay down my design, kind of immediately be able to convey the message that I'm trying to convey or the era that I'm trying to convey, and then kind of move on to the next thing. Like I want to be able to make things as clear as possible. And I think that like companies like True Grit and companies like there was another one that you mentioned that I'm blanking immediately, which is so fun.
No, it's Retro Supply is the other
Yes.
really great company. I mean, they both, yeah, like what you're saying. It's just really nice to be in a place where all you have to do is drag and drop. I mean, with the
Hmm.
paper textures, like I can show everybody once we kind of get to that point. Basically like all you have to do is you download I mean it is they do have free textures but
Hmm.
these ones I think it's like $20 for like a bundle so you
Which
get
is pretty
multiple so you
good.
can it's really in my opinion like for something that you don't have to continue subscribing to like
Hmm.
it's really fair and
Yeah.
I mean I've been literally using this since the very beginning of like my illustration career and I highly recommend it to anybody who like is using Fresco, Procreate, Photoshop, like Illustrator, all of these things. They
Right.
have different plugins for all of these programs, so it makes it so much more useful for again just like if you're making a t-shirt design or if you're just like drawing something to post on Instagram. It's just all really, really useful.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really good call out of them being multi-app based. So like you don't
Mhm.
just have to use them in Fresco or just in Illustrator. You can use them in Photoshop, you could use them in Premiere, you could use them in After Effects. They are multi-purpose, and I think that that is really cool that they're not locked behind any specific paywall, any, specific program based thing. And Cody says in chat, I've gotten their textures before. Yes, so we understand.
Awesome.
And I want to throw a little prompt out in the chat. I'm going to open up my iPad right now. I've got my little mini guide just chilling cuz you brought up making your own brushes. I want to hear in chat if anyone feels like sharing. What is your go-to brush in Adobe Fresco or in Photoshop if you use either of those drawing programs? I'm trying to load mine because it loves to take forever to load because my iPad is full of storage or full storage. But there's a specific one that I found, and I can't remember if it is True Grit or if it is one of the like default brushes. But I literally cannot use anything else without feeling like this is wrong. I feel like I'm drawing wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, again, I feel so like foreign to a program if I don't have at least like one of my little tools from my kit like involved in my illustrations. Even when I'm like painting a mural, like when I'm like painting like a straight line with like spray paint, I almost kind of
Mhm.
miss that little bit of texture that you get with, like a brush or even just
100%.
like yeah, like the perfect aspect of like when you're working on a mural versus when you're just kind of drawing or sketching or even just working on your iPad. It's so much different.
Absolutely. And I think that getting that adjustment and moving into that can be so useful. But it is a bit of a learning curve. And I think that, you showing your process here today, like, I hope inspires some people to at least give it a try because if you have an Adobe subscription, believe it or not, there is a free version of Fresco. I believe all of the base usage of Fresco is completely free. You just need a subscription to Adobe in some capacity or an account. And really, where the paying comes in is just if you're using cloud storage, which, listen, I know I'm supposed to be one of the people that's like the pro or whatever, and I'm supposed to know all the programs. I do not use cloud storage at all. I'm the least organized person probably viewing this or on Adobe Live today because I just love my 800 little flash drives that I have years and years of work on just spread out over the course of a couple years.
It's hard. Again, I don't blame anybody for, ever just starting to do that now or, perhaps they have lost things in the past and they just, things just happen. We can't ever rely on the internet or cloud or anything like for that matter, but we sure can start up at any point and obviously like yeah, make things more efficient or
Absolutely.
like offload like storage off your iPad. Oh my God. I feel like I need like 20 iPads at this
Yes.
point for like the amount of layers and like files and brushes and textures that I have loaded onto this tiny little piece of technology.
I definitely understand where you're coming from, and that's a good call out too. Like, not to speak to the testament of Adobe or anything. This is not a comment on that, but more of like Dropbox, Google Drive, things like that. Like, you never know when they're just gonna start deleting stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we're in a world where I feel like, I don't know if you are a big game person or your partner's a big game person, but like, did you hear about the announcement with the PlayStation 5 games that they made like a month or two ago?
Okay, so my boyfriend is loving like replaying his old childhood games right
Mhm, mhm.
now. I think eventually he would really love to like advance like set up like a whole PC or just like get like
Yeah.
all the new stuff. But we're not really tapped into like yeah, like all the new things. So tell me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you at all. I think being not fully tapped in isn't the worst thing because it's just too much to keep up with. But um they made an announcement, I think about a month ago, that by 2028 that they are going to be completely phasing out physical games. Completely. which to me I think is
No. Ugh,
insane. It's just setting a precedent of like what the future is
it's
going to
so
be.
nostalgic
I
though.
know, and they're already phasing out VHSs. They're already phasing out DVDs, and I'm like, are we just going to be in a world where like physical media is just not going to exist anymore? You know what I mean? That's kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, like maybe this is, I don't know, silly to say. My favorite pastime is going to the flea markets
Mm-hmm.
and, digging through piles of other people's trash, like
Absolutely.
essentially, or, storage unit trash. Like you just never know. But at the same time, it's just very therapeutic. But I know that there's like an aspect of obviously, like sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
like creating more and more like CD-ROMs and like, things that go into an actual system and making, like you're saying, more of a cloud thing. But
Mm-hmm.
there's just something so like special about, walking into GameStop or walking into
Yeah.
like a department store and being like, I'm gonna get this and this is like my little treat or something.
I fully agree, and I think that like I don't know that it we me and my wife were talking about this last night actually of just like that feeling of like unboxing a game or like going to like a midnight release of Pokemon. Like it's going to be so much less impactful now if it's like okay, here's your code card. Buy as opposed to like having the physical thing that you can put on your shelf too cuz like I think I mean I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can assume from the background that we are both trinket girlies in this stream. You know, we both love trinkets and like I love collectibles and like displays and I feel like in and of itself like package design like as artists like there is a value in the way that things are packaged and displayed in the home and it's like the fact that we're removing that to me just feels like a bit of like whimsy and luster that's disappearing. You know what I mean? It's a bummer.
Yeah, absolutely. And, being somebody who is merch oriented and, like I make t-shirts and prints and
Mm-hmm.
stickers and, have them on my website and stuff. And sometimes, selling at markets, it's like it is getting to a point like where it is a bigger conversation. Like when is when is it like when are we hitting the ceiling of, like I already have this, I already have that. It
Right.
worries me because I really enjoy making merch, but then I have to kind of become more innovative, thinking about, what do people not have that would be interesting to
Right.
collect? Again, as a trinket girly
Yeah, yeah,
myself.
yeah. Absolutely. And I think that that's a really fun like it's scary in a sense like as someone who is, you know, a merchandiser or someone that is just trying to make a living from art because obviously
Mhm.
or maybe it's not obvious, but for the people in chat that may not be full-time artists, unfortunately you don't just get paid for doodling. Like there are many aspects to this line of work that kind of take some multifaceted what's the word I'm looking for? Multifaceted like skill sets. Like if it's branding yourself or merchandising or screen printing or you know, there's a lot of aspects of design that are more than just the design itself. But I think that is a bit of the fun of it too, is like kind of thinking of what is innovative, what is something that could be different. I want to call out someone that I think, I mean, a friend of yours, I would not say one of my friends because I don't know them personally, but um, Crocodile Jackson, I think, is extremely innovative when it comes to merchandising, especially with him being a tattoo artist and starting his own kind of trading card game. It was pretty sweet.
I was gonna say, yeah, Flash Friends is incredible, and I mean Hunter, God, I can't say enough about like just how much I adore that guy. Um, yeah, he's just always throughout the years, like he's always just trying to innovate ways to like get people together. I would
Mhm.
call him like a people curator, or there's probably
Absolutely.
like some kind of like he's definitely like a trailblazer in that way, and I've always just really admired that anytime like he's kind of feeling rusty in some sort of way, like with his art, he's always just pivoting and doing something completely out of the blue and like inviting all of like his friends to be involved in it. And
It's so
yeah, that's what
cool.
I've always really admired about his work. And of course, in the grand scheme of things, I think there's always a way for us to, make things our own and, to not necessarily have to worry about what the general public is doing, or necessarily like in the sense of what you're saying. Like we
Hmm.
can always make things our own and curate and create and make something really unique that can gather people and again like inspire new ideas with making art and making merch in this aspect of things.
Absolutely. And I think that the communal aspect of these things is, to me, some of the things that are the most innovative. Like being able to source so many artists and being able to, in some capacity, either compensate them for their time or help them, like grow or give them part of the product. Like any aspect of that, I think is like, to me, what makes that stuff so much fun, just like being able to kind of expand on it and do so much more. Like they it's people like him, people like you obviously, and like just people in the space that I'm like I really admire, because I'm like, man, I would love to do more community based stuff, because I was a COVID artist, right? And I think a lot of people in the chat can probably relate that, like, either tuning into Adobe Live during COVID or getting started during COVID, like, oh, this is kind of what I want to do. Like, it was pretty isolating, We had the internet, but like I wasn't going to markets, I wasn't doing pop-ups, I wasn't, going to art shows. That just didn't happen back in the I say back in the day. But it was 6 years ago, so it was almost half a decade or over half a decade.
How insane is that, dude? Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and especially like when I was experiencing, what was going on, like I was living in Idaho at the time, for in Boise, and
Hmm.
as much as, it was a little bit more spread out there than Los Angeles is, people were doing their thing. There's still like, ways of staying like connected and, obviously like in the general sense of however you could hang out with somebody
Right.
in person, like, there were still ways to stay human and like again create and kind of uh make things feel less isolated.
Hmm.
But I would say like for me, it's something that I really like enjoyed doing during that time was I was curating like a drawing challenge. Like it was
Sick.
at first I did like a couple 10-day drawing challenges where people could like tap in and like, with whatever medium they were working in. It was really silly. The prompts were like, I think flower power, like
That's
just
awesome.
really silly things that you could openly interpret in your own way. But it was really fun, like how many people got involved in that. And like every day it was like a new prompt and, a new drawing, and then just being able to share things like on my story and then connect with new artists. Like really that did so much for me, like filled my cup during the pandemic. And
Yeah.
I don't want to say I missed those times, but it was really
There's
cool to see people
aspects.
kind of it was cool to see people come out of the woodwork and be like, huh, like that's really fun and I can do that. So
Yeah.
I just love how much like people gathered around and were hyping each other up during that little experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was almost like an Inktober,
Yeah.
mini Inktober for COVID, I guess. But
Absolutely. I
yeah.
mean, I think of that time, and I feel like it was a very different time as an artist. And I, not to be like, oh, FOMO for people that didn't do art during COVID, but like, I just feel like the support and the tone and the innovation of like TikTok and Instagram and where that moved, like it's very different now, but there was something so, I mean, for lack of a better term, very special about that time of people just like working together in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God. Of course, like so many people, I mean, started their businesses because of COVID. And in some way, it's like the way I thought about it when we were all like on our phones all the time was like, at least if we're going to be scrolling all day, if I could at least like create something positive that helps put people's like best foot forward, then
Right.
that's kind of what my goal was with like sharing art every single day. And I mean, especially the drawing challenges, just being able to like again hype people up and create this kind of community that otherwise couldn't reach in real life. It was still like a way for us to all like share work and obviously like be outlets for each other, like so we could yeah feel that support system for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't know, there's just so many aspects that I'm glad that have kind of bled over into now, and so many I guess things that have been learned and support that has carried over from that time of like extreme isolation, that like again I'm very thankful that like we have these communities and we have these aspects of creation and sharing our creative flow that allows us to kind of be more connected, which I think actually is maybe a good segue. It's not really a segue, but more just like a question for you. So you talk about
Yeah.
living in Boise in Idaho and then moving to LA, which I feel like is a huge jump generally. Like just even from anywhere, moving to LA is pretty massive. Like was there like a moment that you're like, okay, like I know that this is the next step for me. Like I feel like I have sucked out, like reaped the benefits of like Boise like as much as I could, and my next step is here. Was it like a leap of faith? Like what did that look like for you?
Yeah, no, and that's a really like great question just because, a lot of people ask me this too. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, like I saw myself like wanting to live in Boise for, the rest of, however long that made sense to me. Since I
Hmm.
I never went to college, I never lived in like a different place. It just was comfortable. And it wasn't so much of like like outgrowing living there at all. It just piqued my interest to move somewhere that was challenging to me, almost like going to college. Like I
Right.
know it sounds so funny, but like since I never had like the actual adult experience of like living away from home and really like, facing kind of adult experiences every day and learning to be on my own more. It was just a uh really interesting, again, just like thing to challenge myself to do. And
Right.
I mean, luckily, my boyfriend was on board, and he sells vintage clothing for a living and now owns a store. So I mean, really, like we both were just at this juncture of our life where like I was really lucky to be full time with my art. And like a lot of my clients were already down here. I had a bunch of friends that I had made
Yeah.
otherwise, like on Instagram, like Crocodile Jackson
Yeah.
and Wizard of Barge, like all these amazing people that are just equally as much like just the best people that welcomed me with open arms into the community. It almost felt more like just a transitional period for me more than like moving. Like I never
Yeah.
felt like I actually moved from Boise because I go back so often now. It just felt like it was something that was going to elevate and challenge like me creatively and in my personal life to be around new people and new experiences. So I'm going to the College of Life now. I've
Yeah.
graduated YouTube University.
Abs-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the short answer.
No, I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
so like it's cool because like I hear a lot of different I don't want to say aspects, but like I hear a lot of different I guess perspectives of like why people move and why people pursue X, Y, and Z. Like for my experience moving up to Philly, and I don't live in Philly anymore, but that move was really big for me because I also grew up in, I mean, I don't know if Boise would be considered a small town. I think Boise's pretty big, but I grew up in a small art town in South Carolina. Like it wasn't art focused at all. I mean, a little bit, but more like fine art. And moving to Philly felt so momentous for me. It felt like, oh, there's nothing left for me in South Carolina. I need to move for my art career. But it's so interesting to know that like, there's the other side of the coin of like, no, like, Boise is your home. There's still so much there, but like the natural progression of, just expanding life, expanding things, and kind of doing just something different was LA, or like I should say California in general, and that opened up I don't know if like opportunities, but more like it just felt like it like a natural progression, right? Like it felt like something that was just mutually beneficial for you and your partner at the time and your social life. Like I think it's great, like and it's nice to hear, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's nice to hear that like, oh, this was just something that like it felt right and it worked out, and it's, there was a bit of risk, but like it ended up just being really cool. And I have my friends here and the community here. And I'm kind of curious for the people in the chat as well. Like we have a lot of people that tune in from a lot of different places. If you want to share where you're tuning in from and where you're pursuing your art journey or your art hobby or your art career, I'd love to hear. I'm in based in Calgary, Alberta. So from down south, deep Bible Belt to close to an hour outside of New York, Philadelphia to Canada, Western Canada. We're really making all the stops.
Dude, so cool though. I mean, what is, if I can ask you a question,
Yeah,
what is
please.
Canada like in comparison to, living in the States? Like, creatively speaking, like, how does that like fuel your inspiration for the work that you make, like compared to living in like Philly and like the deep city? Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I appreciate you asking me a question. It's a fun one. Like I think from my personal experience, it's been very unique because I kind of came in to where I live currently, and came in as I don't want to say like experience because obviously I can learn so much, but I came in as more seasoned, right? Like I understand where I was at and I understand what I wanted to do and the aspects of my art identity. So coming in with that experience and having kind of an idea of what I wanted to do and having support from I had some friends here through my wife and through just mutual visiting for a while, I found the transition to be like really really fluid, and almost like strange. Like I spent 3 or 4 years building up my art career in Philly, trying to be known as a well-known artist, really, establishing my style, trying to break in with stores, trying to do merchandising, trying to do t-shirts, all this type of stuff. And within the first year of living in Calgary, whenever I would, have a play mat on my web store or I should say like a desk mat or like have a poster or maybe like an art card, like I would run into people that are like, "Oh, you're the guy that did that. Like, can you sign this for me?" Like within a year, which is crazy to me. And I think that people in Canada, specifically Calgary, just treat art so differently, more precious, because I think that there isn't as much as compared to like Philly and New York, which I really, really, really like. Like, there just feels like a lot, it's a very different perspective from the consumer side, which I think is cool. Like, I think that the fact that there's people here that like appreciate style and appreciate establishment and appreciate ingenuity or something different is really cool because then it doesn't feel like things are oversaturated or competitive because there's so many talented artists in Calgary, but they're all kind of in their own lane in a sense. Like, not that I think that being, dipping into other people's lanes is a bad thing, but like I think that there can be some competitive overlap when it comes to the states generally speaking, which can be kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's the mural scene out there?
Oh,
Like, what
it's
are there like you guys have like a mural festival?
We do, yeah. It's called Bump. I've been trying to get into it for a while. It's really cool. I am horrified of doing murals, but I want to learn. So yeah, huge mural
Let me
scene, huge
teach
art scene.
you.
Yeah, please, please. There's actually a artist. I'm gonna plug her. Calgary artist also had a magic card. Her name's Michelle Cuckoo, I think. And
Cool,
she,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Are you familiar with her?
I've definitely seen her work floating around. Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
She does like the dreamy, kind of bubbly pink and blue artwork. I'm actually going to switch over to our screen here. We're just plugging all the artists here today. Here we go. This is their
Yes, we
work
gotta hype
here.
up all the friends.
Absolutely. They're very talented. Met them at like some Calgary, I think it was oh gosh, Market Collective. Big art show in Calgary. Really really talented. Does a bunch of murals in Calgary and uh talk to them a lot about that and Bump and I don't know. Murals are cool. I think any city that is willing to I say sacrifice, but maybe donate is the more positive term. Donate a wall or donate a street to some really cool art, I think is a cool city in my book.
Oh yeah, definitely. And to shout out Boise too. Like it's as much of it being considered like a small city, like things can be like moved and shaken a little bit. Like we've throughout the years like been able to invite contractors to commission artists to paint like giant buildings that are being built there right now. And like it's really amazing. Like it's small but mighty. And a lot of people are moving there right now. But I would be really stoked to see like a mural festival like properly,
Yeah.
be there or to like get involved with like planning stuff like that. I love like getting to paint and be around other people who are like really passionate about like getting their hands like dirty and getting up on lifts and stuff. Like it's always
Yeah.
been like a huge inspiration for me, just like getting out and like being outside and working.
Absolutely. And I think that that adds like just a completely different layer to the art scene and to the illustrative process of doing things physically. I think that that is such an aspect that I admire about your work, and I admire generally speaking of artists, is that physical aspect. And funny enough, like we'll just plug another artist. The way that I figured out about you as an artist is actually through Joel, like Joel Kirschenbaum, Joel Cherries, who works with I Want My Honey TV. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys did a collab. Was it a
Oh.
physical collab or was it just a I can't remember.
Okay, so a while back, and I still love doing this.
Hmm.
I would just connect with like really cool artists, and yeah, like we just did a digital illustration and posted it on IG, and I think we sold a couple prints or something. I
Sick.
mean, it was a really cool piece, but I just love like that's something I'm really passionate about is just like collaborating with other people and
Mhm.
making like really cool stuff and yeah, just seeing how like different styles of art can kind of like mesh and develop like together.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important too. Like, I think it's something that collaboration and design is super, I don't know, it's pretty detrimental for being able to think kind of outside of the box. You know, I feel like it's very easy to get kind of stuck in your head of like, this is how things are meant to be. This is how I want this to look. But as soon as you incorporate other people into that picture, it's like, oh, well, no, now my perspective's completely changed because you are interpreting this completely different to how I would interpret it, and that may change kind of how I approach this, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and just being able to literally send a file back and forth, like how cool is that? We can literally just email like my little,
I
like
know.
my PSD file and like you're good to go. Um, but yeah, I mean, like in terms of murals and stuff, like having the iPad and being able to just work on this and develop an entire mock-up and then, see it go to fruition, like you would kill it, dude. It's just like so much fun, like being able to project your work at like such a large scale and see that gratification of like something on a wall versus at such a, small screen like an iPad.
I really appreciate that, and I think that like I don't know when it comes to design, I'm so open to just like let's do whatever. I'm here for a good time. Like I just want to do all the cool stuff that my friends are doing and approach it in a way that is fun and different and inventive, and it's cool. I like art. If you can't tell, hosting the art game show with my good friends the whole week, I'm a big fan of art and artists and the artistic process, and it's really cool to see your process here too, just doodling away. I mean, you've been crushing considering we're only 45 minutes in.
Yeah, no, I feel like once I really get into my flow state, I mean, it's pretty like fast. Like my process is just pretty much going through like from top or bottom to top, like just depending on what the illustration looks like. This is where I'm at so far. And
Love
I
it.
was gonna share like something that I really find like useful when I'm working on like a digital landscape.
Hmm.
If I'm trying to do like an arc or something like really crazy, like a perfect circle with, like a bunch of other like shapes involved. I have found that it is so much easier instead of trying to like curve like a corner or something, you actually draw a circle And then in a different layer, I won't do it here, but in a different layer, you can just add your lines here. And then you go back into this other layer and you erase up to
Love
this
it.
line. And then you've got like your perfect shape. Or like if you want a rounded corner for like your illustration, like that's been a huge game changer for me throughout the years rather than struggling to just kind of, I don't know, like just draw
Yeah,
something with
absolutely.
even just like I use like 100% like smoothness or what's there's a word for it.
Um, is it stabilization or something like
Yeah,
that? I do
stabilization.
too,
Yeah.
for the record.
I go crazy with the
Yeah.
stabilization. Anytime I'm using a brush, I always turn off the taper and make them
Hmm.
completely like endless. So, for example, like it's just all one consistent line with no
Right.
pressure. So then it's just so much easier to make everything as a whole feel more consistent with my art. But
Well,
other people, I mean, geez, like
sorry, go ahead.
if I, oh yeah, if I did a lot more with like taper or even like blending gradients, things like that, then it would probably be more useful for me to just use like brushes how they're like loaded onto my iPad. But yeah, with Fresco, it's like it's insane. There's so many brushes just already available as well. So I've
Right.
loved like playing around with all these different things and yeah, but of course I always go back to the basics, which is just like a normal brush with like no taper or anything.
But I think that's kind of a testament to the style too, because when I think of like print, like, 70s, 80s, 90s print, I think of like single weight, non-tapered, very like you're using a ballpoint pen to like make these designs because they had to kind of be, I don't want to say simple, but they had to be poppy, right? Because that was just the style of the time. There was less like it's hard to like nail like the aspects of a specific style, but like for the 70s, I feel like it just, or just vintage vibes, like it does make sense. The textures, the imperfectness, the kind of inky style, like it just only adds to your illustrative style, which I think is really cool because where some people may say like, oh well, you should be utilizing tapers, you should be utilizing a less stabilization or whatever, like for you, like that doesn't really, at least, I'm speaking for you, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like that doesn't add to your style. That is not what is a part of your artistic identity. So what may be true for them may not be true for you, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, just over the years, like it's definitely been a challenge to like basically when I open these programs and use these different things, like I dabble in Illustrator for a lot of like my client work and stuff. It's
Hmm.
always really tricky because these programs are like tailored to how you work, and
Right.
especially with that kind of stuff, like finding a way to just have like a brush that mimics what you use in like otherwise, your other programs like Fresco or Photoshop, like any of that stuff. It can be really tricky, but again, like that's where YouTube is just such a savior in
Yes.
the moment. Or I mean, for me, I feel very fortunate to have friends I can text as well and just
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
like, I'm panicking, please help me.
Absolutely. YouTube University and
Yeah.
friend University. We love both, to be completely honest. And it's funny, this is no transition. I'm just gonna throw it up because we've been so involved in chat and just chatting away that I forgot to not only give you one, but 2 points. So you're on the board because you've already hit two of your
What?
secret objectives, if you can believe it.
Really?
Yes. So you've hit, one of your objectives was to add a texture to your design. I should have given you that immediately because there's already texture in the design from when you first started. And the
We're
other
getting there.
was, yeah, the other was to add a shadow to your design. And I see with the bush, with the what is it, the handlebars of the, I think it was the scooter, you added some little shadows in there already. You had some pre shadows. Like you're killing it. We're already 2 points on the board, and we haven't even gotten to a mini game yet.
Dang, okay. You're hyping me up right now. I gotta
You
find
are
more
crushing.
secret. Let's go.
I love it. And I really love watching this kind of, as we said, and I love this term so much, the flow state of just like getting in, we're chatting and you're, laying down lines. And it, I always find it fascinating to see the speed at which artists draw. And I'm kind of curious, would you consider yourself like a fast drawer? Would you consider yourself a slow drawer? Like, how often are you putting out, or I shouldn't, maybe not putting out, but how often are you creating like finished pieces, like for yourself or for clients or anything like that?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty crazy when it comes to drawing. Like if I have an idea, there has to be some piece of paper or like some kind of book laying around to like get that idea down.
Yeah.
And like for my creative process, I definitely would consider myself like, I mean, at this point, I'm a speed demon for sure, just because like it becomes so redundant. Like when you're working in a program like this so often, it just becomes not mind numbing, but just it's second nature, right? It's
Right.
like I find myself picking up a piece of paper and drawing with a pen, and then I got my two fingers trying to do a
Yeah.
back
Oh
swing,
gosh.
which is
Yeah.
so ridiculous. I'm like, I gotta go touch grass, y'all. I'm sorry.
Yep. I gotta lay outside for a second. Give me a minute.
I gotta come back to reality here. But yeah, I would say with my work, just depending on like the scale of what I'm doing, I work a lot on like tour posters and like
Hmm.
band show posters, which that's definitely like something I'm extremely passionate about. Like with my work, anytime that
Absolutely.
kind of project comes in, I'm just like jazzed, ready to
Yeah.
go. Like the more details, the more or more is more kind of. So yeah, I would say like just depending on like the scale of what I'm working on and if it's for a client, I will have to like slow down a considerable bit more when I'm working with somebody just because of the whole process of sending revisions back and forth or
Totally.
sketches. Most of the time, like I was saying before, my work, like when I'm sketching, is extremely illegible and I can see what's going on, but who knows like if it could be um like borderline offensive to like my client to send them just like little round shapes with eyeballs on them or something.
I'm right there with you.
So yeah, so I mean you get it, but I definitely am quick when someone's like go for it, I'm just on it. But
Ready
I'm
to
always
rock.
just sharing new stuff on Instagram like at least 3 or 4 times a week at
Hmm.
most if I can. Always like trying to keep that part of like my brain trained because the
Yeah.
more time I spend away from like my sketchbook or even just thinking creatively, it can really show like especially in the client work since it all ties together.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's something that's definitely worth like shouting out and worth highlighting is like, I keeping those creative skills up and like fresh is super important. And that's something even I struggle with a little bit is like I am an extremely slow drawer just because I'm pretty hypercritical of my style. And there's things that I'm like, I love this. Like this is something that this aligns with my style. And there's other things that I'm like, it's just not really in the vibe. But like I think doing art, especially stylistic art, is not like riding a bike or driving a car, right? It's not like, oh, I learn it once and I'm good. It is a muscle, right? It is something that you have to train and then you have to flex and that you have to continue to um, develop over years and years and years. And unfortunately, the reality of the situation is you can lose that. You 100% can lose your style. You can lose your artistic chops just because you're not practicing or you're not going out there, you're pigeonholing yourself. Like it's good to throw things down on paper or iPad or MacBook or whatever all the time. Always have something on you to do some doodling and sketching and fun stuff like that.
Always, yeah. My motto is definitely like trying is not failing. So like if you have an
Right.
idea, even if it's not like digital based or something, like I've been getting into more like physical, like like media, or how do I put it? Like sewing and just like
Hmm.
crafting, things like that. Being able to pivot and kind of like think in that scope, thinking like more subconsciously with making art, it really just helps the process like feel less stagnant, or like that part of like your brain that doubts like making art. I just love like throwing caution to the wind, and whenever I have like a crazy idea, I'm like, why not do it now?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
okay,
yes.
this is totally irrelevant to what we're talking about, but recently I just got this wild hair. It was like, 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, and I'm sitting in my kitchen and I go, what if our kitchen was green suddenly?
Ooh,
So yeah, so what do? Hop in the car, drive to the paint store, and within like 5 hours, the kitchen is now lime green.
I love that. That's
You
cool.
know what? I think like acting on intuition creatively, like it can really take you to some interesting places with making art. And just kind of turning off that part of your brain that says, why not do that? It could lead to a new character, or even like just creating something that uh can really keep you going, like developing like a world, or just
Absolutely.
painting your kitchen because you're like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point though, because I think creativity can really show in a lot of different ways, right? Like it doesn't have to be like a finished piece. It doesn't have to be a client project. It can be painting your kitchen. It can be working on a cross stitch project. It can be hemming your pants finally after them being ripped for X amount of whatever and doing it in a fun artistic way. Like I think there's a lot of intrinsic pressure when it comes to design and when it comes to being a designer or doing things creatively. And I think the second you break out of that and you continue to make things fun, it almost immediately removes that like barrier, right? Of, oh, I have to do this specific thing. I have to hold myself to a specific standard because like realistically, you don't. Like obviously treat
Yeah.
client work as something that is like, you know, professional that you're getting paid for, but like, break the box, break the boundaries.
Yeah, take risks. I mean, again, the worst thing that can happen is somebody sends you a reference of something that you drew like 5 years ago, and they're like, "Well, I was hoping you would do this instead." Yeah, I'm like,
Absolutely.
"Oh my God, like we were so completely far away." Like I can see it off in the horizon. Like I'm driving like 100 miles an hour, and I'm like, I don't know how to draw that anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't know how to
yeah.
get back to that. Gotta like flip back in the pages.
I totally understand that. It's so funny. Sean is a longtime viewer of Adobe Live, and he made a comment saying, "Did I ask if you had a toy mic?" And what he's referencing is the first season of the show, which when I was sending you some of the references of the show, you might have noticed. I had a little Fisher Price mic that I would use, and I'd have my regular mic and then my Fisher Price mic that I'd like, game show, whatever. And I lost it. I don't know where it is. So I've been using
No.
I've upgraded to the big boy microphone, the Shure mic, so it's pretty funny.
Well, I'll keep an eye out at the flea market for you. I'm
Yeah,
I'm sure there has to be another one out there.
absolutely. A karaoke mic at least. Something super fun and silly. Well, Ashley, we're about halfway through, and like I said, you're crushing, which I think is a perfect little pause point to where we can maybe implement like a mini game or two. How does that sound?
Cool. Oh, I love that. Let's do it.
Sick. So I am going to swap over screens here. Again, for those unfamiliar with art maxing, there is a little breakpoint that we do where we introduce some mini games to allow our guests to get even more opportunities to gain some points and to warm us up if we're feeling a little tired and just feeling like I'm just ready for the weekend. Well, now you can answer some questions. I'm putting you to work. It's not the weekend yet. We gotta do some work. So I'm gonna pop over to my Firefly Boards screen here. Also, Sean apologizing, saying he's having fun. You never have to apologize, Sean. We're here for the silliness. We love Tiny Mike. I think it's funny. So, for those unfamiliar, we have a little segment here on Art Maxing called Command Z, and that is a little segment where we introduce some shortcuts in and try to guess to see what they do. And fun fact, I don't know if you knew this, but you can connect your keyboard to Fresco, which I didn't know until I looked it up last night. And Fresco has some shortcuts, which I was unfamiliar with. Some key binded shortcuts. So I have a couple shortcuts here for you. I have Command G and Command Shift N. If anyone gets it in the chat, you also get a point. And you're allowed to ask questions, allowed to ask hints, but maybe we can start with Command G. Do you have any thoughts of what that might do?
Oh boy, you know what? I think I'm completely stumped. This
Hey,
is wow. Because I'm like looking at my keyboard. Definitely like when I'm using like let's say like Illustrator, definitely I'm, using A,
mm-hmm,
Z, V, and
mm-hmm.
X sometimes. Yeah, I'm not sure if I've even dabbled in any other of these controls.
So
So
I'll
I'm
give you a pretty
yeah,
a
give me a hint.
pretty big hint.
Okay.
So funny enough, this shortcut does the exact same thing in Fresco as it does in Illustrator. So if you've ever heard of this shortcut, you might know. Maybe.
Oh my
But I know you said that you
God.
haven't used it. So another good
Oh,
hint, I think. Oh yeah,
gradient.
you're close-ish. I'll say you're close in
Mhm.
the sense of I think G is gradient. Like if you just click G, it's gradient.
Mhm.
But think of if you're implementing the command function and also same idea of it starts with a G. The function that it does. It's not gradient, but it also starts with a G.
I'm like looking at my screen right now, like hoping that something will pop out at me. Ah, yeah, you got me.
It involves that right hand side of what you're doing right now. What you
Let's
have open
see.
right now.
What is it, grids?
No, you're close to the left of grids.
Okay. That makes sense. That's cool.
Yes. So if here's the thing, I will say Sean got it in chat. So I'm going to give you the point because someone to get it in chat. Command G is to group all your layers.
Oh, to group.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's close.
Ah!
It's close. When
Okay.
you're in the moment, it's tough. But
Yeah.
Sean came to the rescue. He's warmed up. We're warmed up, and we've got one more for you. I'll go ahead and throw your point up on the board here in a moment. And this one's
Thank you,
a lot
Sean.
more difficult. And I apologize because I didn't know this one existed either. I don't think this is the same in Illustrator, but this is Command Shift N. And this one is pretty tough. But I will say, just to give you a hint right off the bat, we're in the same area, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. So these are related. They are not related with groups, but Command G groups layers. So what would you think Command Shift N does? If you had to think, if we're in the same group. And again, feel free to ask questions.
Does it have to do with like loading a selection?
You're not necessarily.
Okay.
Think of more fresh starts or that might be misleading.
Like
Think of
adding a
like
layer?
you freaking got it, dude. It's new
Let's go.
layer. Also, Sean got it in the chat too. You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. So you got 2
Let's
points
go,
on the board
Sean.
already. So we're up to 4
Should put Sean
points.
in the chair.
Yeah. No. Listen, we want you in the chair. He's helping us. He's helping us. You know what I mean? Sean, I believe, is
Let's
actually
go.
works for Adobe, which is super cool to have you tuning in. There's also another mini game just before we hop back into it because we're speeding through this design. And that's this little modifier called media mix. For those
Mhm.
again unfamiliar with art maxing, this is a little new implementation for season 2 of a little to disrupt the creative flow a little bit. We're gonna implement some stuff in here. So we've got some options that this little wheel can land on. We have mirror canvas, no color picker, random font implemented, only 3 colors, 40 pixel brush, which would be evil. So I really hope it doesn't land on that. Monochrome design, random shape, merge all layers, which I also think would be evil. I really hope we don't land on that. Or or invert colors. So we're gonna spin this wheel. We're gonna see what we hit, and I'm praying that it's not too crazy. Okay, let's see what we get.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm excited.
not bad. 3 pixel brush. You don't have to switch to it right now as long as it's implemented in some way. Do you mix around with, or do you mess around with like different size brushes in your art usually, or do you usually stick to one line weight?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, that's thank goodness. That's a good one because I mean, we're probably not on a sharing screen right now, but
Oh,
when
I
we
will
are,
switch back to your
that
screen
will
right now.
actually that will really come in handy for these tiny little faces.
Oh
So,
yeah.
thank you. But
Hey,
whatever powers that might be, that is something that I will be using. So,
the random
better
Adobe
than
art
40.
gods. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. 40 would be nuts. Maybe you would be able to use it for like a hand coloring thing. I let people break the rules a little bit. I mean, it's not breaking the rules. There's no rules, right? But yeah, I'll remind you at some point if we forget to implement that 3 pixel brush. But I will go ahead and throw. You got 5 points on the board, Ashley. You are tied for first, which is pretty dang sweet. You're crushing.
Dang. Okay, let's go. All right, how do we get some more points?
Yeah, I mean, keep drawing, keep designing. We have one more mini game that we'll probably implement closer to the end of stream, maybe when we have about 45-ish minutes left. Also, Sean says, "Good guesses by me." They were good guesses by you. You definitely had it nailed down. Also, clever in chat, a regular of Adobe Live. Thank you for popping by. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're just tuning in, we have Ashley, an amazingly talented illustrator, designer, muralist, just all around very, very multifaceted illustrator. And we're doing some poster design, which is super. You're already implementing the size 3 brush. I love it. I love it. I
Might as
love it.
well. Might as well. Let's just get it out of the way. It's a really good way of also adding just like a little bit of like kind of papery, like sketchy texture, almost like a pencil. Like
Yeah.
good example is when I'm drawing things with a lot of like inverted colors. Oh, and of course, I don't remember what size my brush was before
I
that.
think it
So
was
that'll be a really
34,
fun thing to now try to figure out. 34. Let's
maybe, or
see.
was that too big?
Oh my God,
Maybe.
I hear my cat meowing. That's a little 40.
Oh no. Hey, that's
Let's see
okay.
here.
We can't hear your cat. My
No,
cats are
it's okay.
always.
I totally did this to myself. I think.
Maybe it was 6.
Oh yeah, he would be a. Oh my God. Yeah, my cat's about 7. He was definitely going to walk all over the keyboard and probably end this call, knowing him. He's just wanting attention all the time.
My
Okay, we're
cats.
back.
Hey, we're at 7. Okay, perfect. My cats are getting old. They're probably getting closer to like 12, 11 or 12, and one of them is on anxiety medication. They're very healthy, so I don't want to like say, they're, sick or anything. One of them is on anxiety medication because she always attacks the other one, her brother, and the other one has
Oh
started
no.
very recently um uh he's been like, this is so insane to say out loud, but are you familiar with the term sundowning? Like, do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
He's really is this like an old age thing that happens?
I guess. I mean, when we went to the vet, that's like apparently a thing that cats do, but he will just sit by the door and yowl for like hours. Hours. It
That's
makes no
crazy. And this just
sense.
came out of the blue.
Yeah, it started
Wow,
a month ago.
he's a little werewolf or something. He's trying to call his people.
Or go outside. It's kind of, this is funny, and I want everyone to know that you're allowed to laugh because he is fine. Okay, he's fine. The cat is fine. But my cats love to do these, as my mother-in-law would call it, absconding. They'll run away. They'll just like fully, soon as the door opens, just bolt. And one of them is like, I just want concrete time, or I want garden time. They're like, stay within a regular amount of space. But the other one will bolt. I mean, run through the whole neighborhood, and it's so scary. This is the one that sundowns all the time. And recently, he escaped. This was while I was in Europe, and I got a text saying, "Oh, Boris has escaped. He's running around. He's in the neighbor's tree." And are you familiar with magpies?
The very much an Idaho thing for sure. I have a
Yep.
very funny story to I'll tell you after you too. This is
Yeah.
hilarious.
So he got attacked by magpies. He's
No!
fine.
Wait,
Like I
like
said,
actually like pet?
yeah, they chased him around. So he ran back home.
Oh,
So he hasn't run out
baby.
since,
Okay,
which I feel bad laughing at him, but I'm also like, brother, this is what you get for running away. This is divine
he'll be fine.
punishment. You know what I mean? He didn't get hurt. Like there was no like bite marks or peck marks. Like he was fine. He was more chased. But I'm like, this is what happens. You don't understand how good you have it here in this home. You should stick around more often and stop running away.
Brother. Dude, that's so funny. Yeah, my cat only has one eye. If you follow
Aw.
me on Instagram, you will see him a lot because I am obsessed with my cat. Yeah, we don't know how he lost it, but he's just a silly little guy. His name is Jack.
Oh.
If you've ever seen the movie or not the movie, the TV show Twin Peaks, he is
Yes.
inspired by the name of it's kind of like a strip club, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
called
yeah.
One-Eyed
Yeah,
Jacks.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, it has no relevance other than the name, but that's my favorite show that I love to rewatch every single year. Big David Lynch fan over here.
Oh, me
Um,
too.
but yeah, so he is very cute, very cuddly. Uh, but actually, so my mom and I have been rescuing cats my entire life,
Oh.
and uh, she adopted a cat like about 2 years ago after Jackie actually moved from Idaho to here. He was on a
Oh.
plane. He did the whole thing, which was really crazy. Yeah, which we really didn't know how he was going to take it. But yeah, luckily my mom adopted another cat. But soon after she had adopted the cat, there was a mishap, and unfortunately, uh, the cat went missing for about a
Oh,
year. And
no.
I say a year because we thought she was, potentially gone, or like maybe somebody had adopted her thinking she was just a stray cat. And she was, again, just we had uh, made our uh made our like I don't know how to say like
Like kind of
we def
made your mind of like, oh, she's probably gone. Like you've
yeah,
accepted the
she's doing her
condolences.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a wild cat now. Until we got a call about 2 months ago, saying that she was taken into a vet and was microchipped, and we went and picked her up, and
Oh.
now, yeah, she went on Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That
Yeah,
is her
yeah,
name
yeah,
is
yeah.
literally Pee-wee.
That's
So
so
that was like the
cute.
most ironic part of that. So anyway, the story has no relevance other than I know what you mean. We've had cats that do some really crazy things, but somehow they live their 9 lives, and oh my God, they inspire so much of my art. They're very hilarious little creatures.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to characterization in animals and stuff, and I agree with this as well. Like I think birds and cats have a lot of character, and I see that reflected in your design, like generally speaking. But like the as I'm around more animals, I think it's so cool. Like how much personality can come from like different animals and like characterizations, and I love people that like I don't know if you're familiar with Meat Canyon. This is like a crazy pull and I promise there's relevance, but are you familiar with this
What about
person?
Meat Canyon, dude?
So you are
Yes.
familiar, okay. So Tugboat, like that being a whole puppet character, and it's like his basset hound, I think is so funny to me, of like characterizing this selfish, like weird, like hyper masculine like puppet dog as like this basset hound, because he talks about how his dog is so selfish and very like mean to his brother. I think I love story building like that. I think it's so funny of adding humanistic traits
It's
to
out
animals.
there. Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I feel like people. people have pets certainly, but I don't know. I always like to think about, what are animals doing when like people aren't around?
Oh
Are
yeah.
we doing like a whole Toy Story thing, a
Yeah.
montage? Like, I feel like animals have these secret lives that humans don't know about, and like it's really interesting for me to kind of give my characters a life in that way and almost make them, you know, do like human like normal everyday things.
Yeah.
They
Absolutely.
deserve to be seen and heard.
Yes, yes, and you're telling a story too, right? Like you are, I don't want to say manufacturing, but you are creating this story for these characters, and I think that to me like adds a lot to art itself, generally speaking, and adds a lot to like poster design and character design generally speaking is if you can flesh out the world further and further and further, that just it only adds to design work, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like it's so broad. Every day when I wake up and come into my little studio room with my cup of coffee, it's just like you never know what's gonna, come out of like your brain. Like it's
Right.
it's insane. I have like my notes app constantly like
Yeah.
on scroll. Like I'm
Yeah.
just whenever I'm driving or like if I'm going to the grocery store or something, referencing like I think my latest illustration that I posted. I mean, it just doesn't even matter. Like you'll just see some crazy stuff like out in the world, and sometimes you just gotta go, hey Siri, like make a note for me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, I'm always referencing. Maybe I don't even remember like exactly what I was referencing like when I first made this note, because sometimes it's just like draw a bunny or something. But there's some kind of context behind it, some kind of story, but I constantly forget. And so it's always really, really fun to dip into like the notes app when I'm feeling like a little bit rusty with like coming up with a random idea and just going based off that.
Absolutely. I love doing that exactly. And they, a little peek behind the curtain. So Adobe is very community focused, and it's really really cool that they allow you to pitch ideas. Um like just to do community shows similar to like art maxing and things like that. And one of the ideas that I don't think I've officially pitched, but I've talked about that I thought was so funny was like a notes app roulette where you scroll through your notes app, you click a random thing, and it could be like a grocery list, but it's like, okay, that's what you have to draw. I think it's just like
I love
so
that.
ridiculous, but so fun. You know what I mean?
Dude, I am all for stuff like that. It's kind of like the idea of, throwing a bunch of like names or ideas into a hat, almost like I don't want to say charades, but uh kind of the idea of like you're acting something out like in the
Yeah,
moment. And in this instance, like drawing something that could be completely out of character for you, but making it personal. That's what I
absolutely.
love, like getting with friends and, doing stuff like that constantly. A lot of my friends happen to be illustrators, so it's always really fun to get together and do like artsy things together because we're always bringing different things to the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to call out some comments in the chat. Clever gave us some cat and bird emojis, which is awesome, and said, I think this is in response to your cat that ran away for a year and then was luckily found, but said, oh, went looking for the basement at the Alamo, which is pretty funny.
Oh my God. Tell them Large Marge sent
Yes,
you.
yes, yes. And
Yes.
Valdar Leonardo says, "Hey friends, happy Friday." Yes, happy Friday. And I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. I mean, we've still got 40, 50-ish minutes left. I've been having a great time just sitting here watching you draw, yapping away. It feels like, we're just hanging out, which is cool. And I'm glad that you guys get to be a part of this little hangout session, you know?
Yeah, thank you guys. If anybody has questions about what I'm doing or just anything process wise, like you can always, I mean, you can comment or you're welcome
Yeah.
to DM me on Instagram anytime or any of that fun stuff.
Oop, it looks like we might have lost your screen for the iPad here. So I'm going to switch
No.
back to our face. Some every once in a while. So we're doing some little back in screen sharing here. Do you want to try to let's hop back into Zoom, if you can bring that up for us, and maybe we can just try to share that over again.
Okay, let's see. Is it share settings?
So if you unshare, you should be able to share again, if that makes sense. Or like
Okay.
stop sharing, then
So
share again.
end share. Let me
And you know what, guys?
come
I'll be right back. I'm gonna do a little BRB screen for us, and we'll be right back. Waboom! We're back. We just got hit with a little lightning strike, so no worries, guys. Appreciate your patience. We already have some funny comments while we were waiting from Clever saying cottage cheese isn't real cheese; it's just curds to me. It just occurred to me. Hey, we love the jokes. Thank you for hanging out and waiting for us, and being patient with us. Just to make sure, I'm not seeing movement on your screen, which might be on me. I'm not
see
sure.
here. No, it's probably me.
No. It's okay. So we're almost
Okay.
back. We've got a
We're
screen showing,
almost
but we
there,
just got to make
chat.
sure it's moving. Yeah.
Okay, share.
Sweet.
Come on, buddy.
No worries. We'll hit one more
Settings.
BRB, and then we'll be right back. Now we're back for real. Sorry, it's when we're sharing iPad, it's always a little difficult. So, we're trying to get stuff moving and grooving. Unfortunately, they don't make this as intuitive as I would like. We have to jump through some hoops instead of just sharing our normal computer screens. They don't like to make it easy on the production side, but we're so back. I appreciate you guys being patient. I don't remember where we left off. We were talking about something. Mm.
And just cats and stuff.
Yeah,
But
cats.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll necessarily finish this by the time like the stream is over, but I'll definitely be sharing it on my Instagram and it should
Hey.
be pretty cool once it's done.
Hey, well that's a perfectly good segue to say you should follow Ashley on Instagram at Dreyfus.art. Literally, probably one of my favorite curated Instagrams. And I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. I genuinely feel this way. I love your colors. I love that you have such diverse projects. And I definitely use your Instagram as a point of reference a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. I mean, coming from a place of genuinely just admiring so many people that I now consider close friends of mine, like we're always like admiring each other's art, and I think it's so cool when people can take inspiration to then, make things like that are cool. I
Yeah.
think everybody should always be, feeling inspired and trying different styles of art. So I love that I can be some vehicle of that for you.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
always just want to be an open book.
absolutely, and I think that we all kind of pull from each other in a really fun way. Like if it's not from influence or from strategy or from packaging or colors or like I think it's really nice that in a way the art scene and illustrators are very um close knit that way, you know. I will say not everyone is like this, and I told this story yesterday where or the day before yesterday where unfortunately I've run into some illustrators that are extremely protective of their work and not as what's the word I'm looking for, open. But again, that is someone's like prerogative, right, of them building up their own uh brand and building up their own image. Like it is understandable of being protective of that because it's a very competitive line of work, and if, as much as we don't want it to be, it tends to bring out the worst in some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, like the way I see it just with my business and stuff, it's like if the faucet's gonna turn off suddenly and like I basically like my business runs on working with client-based projects and
Right.
like these mostly like music festival posters, murals like more recently and I mean like definitely a lot of corporate work like over the past like several years
Mm-hmm.
just been nothing but gratitude, but I always just want to like tell people like how it worked for me because
Yeah.
I just want people to like win.
Yeah.
And I of course I want people to like avoid having to do it the hard way too
Right.
because I just constantly was in the dark a lot when I was first like starting out with navigating all of these different programs and especially just putting myself out there. A lot of my
Absolutely.
early work, like I would say a lot of my early stuff was working with the local coffee shops in Boise and shout out Treefort Music Fest. Like that's
Yeah.
a vastly like growing so quickly like music festival in Boise, and I recommend that everybody goes because it is just so incredible. There is a way for any type of artist, creator, musician, culinary person to get involved.
So
They
cool.
have what's called like forts. So I would just get involved with painting windows every single year, and I mean, yeah, it's all like a snowball effect in some way, a very slow build for sure. But just putting yourself out there and just making art purely, I think, is the most important aspect of being a creative person. And it's not necessarily something that, I mean, you can give the perspective of, but you can definitely share like outlets. And I
Absolutely.
love being able to tell people like what works for me and like what they can apply for or who they can reach out to that would be like a good resource. So yeah, I just think everyone deserves to make cool art and have like a place in the community.
I think that's the accessibility of it too, right? Like, and I appreciate that there's, let's say, 85% of illustrators and artists are share this similar mindset. They're on the same brainwave of like, we just want to see people win because truthfully, when more people are doing art and more people are having their art supported, it's just a win in the community, right? It fosters an environment, it preps people for more art, it gets people supporting people. Like eh, being able to support people and share your story and having other people share their story and have these big wins if it's working with big companies or working on big clients or whatever, like it really does like foster the environment to just be more and more healthy. And I think about like I have a friend, her name is Gina Sterling, super talented web designer, even more talented graphic designer. And I remember, you know, my first experience outside of just being her friend was she like sent a client of hers to me, which I've never experienced that in my life of somebody like passing or turning down work and passing it on to someone else. And that
Mhm.
completely changed my perspective of what the artist's journey can be of like, oh, well, maybe I don't necessarily have the tools or the capacity for this at the moment, but like, hey, why don't I get my friend a commission and get them work, like help them out? Like, I think that's so cool that that's even an aspect of this line of work. We can do that of supporting people, being like, oh, let's get your bills paid by suggesting you to someone else. Like it's just such a cool aspect of it.
Oh, it's just the best. I mean, I countlessly over the years, I've just
Hmm.
had, I mean, even if it's just like word of mouth, like nothing comes like out of it. I just am amazed by like, people that have ever just mentioned my work, my name, have a sticker on my water bottle.
Yeah,
Like it's just community is just really everything to me, and like I wouldn't literally be the person I am today, like artwork, artist, like name anything, without like my friends and like the people that have literally helped me get to this point and just to like have the confidence and like the will to make the art that I like to make. So
absolutely.
yeah, if we can all just simply be like a positive resource to each other, like I think more more so like obviously making work for yourself and making money is awesome, but just like having that support system is just everything.
Right, absolutely. And I think money comes and goes, right? But I feel like in terms of relationships and friendships and just general like I don't know, support, that can be very fleeting, and I think fostering those things is so important when it comes to design and when it comes to just being just like I don't know, a person involved in the community. I think that it's very relevant, and you should help
Yeah.
out people. You should plug your friends, support their Kickstarters. You know, share their stories, do the things that help them grow as people because it it's tough out here, man. It's tough being an illustrator out here.
Yeah, but and also just make art because you love it. And of course,
Yes.
secondly, like making money's awesome and being able to run your business like is really, really unbelievably amazing. I'm still in awe that that's something that I have the pleasure of doing every single day. But I always have to remind myself that, sometimes when you get really, really stressed out or have imposter syndrome or feel like, oh, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, just being like, I can't do this today. I always remember that art is and has always been my form of like escaping, and I mean just it's part of me. Like I would not
Absolutely.
not be anything without making art. So like it's just it's amazing that it just so happened to become like my career, but really like it's always just been like in school, like I would just be in the art room all day, like whenever there wasn't a class going on, I'd just be working, like sketching on my note sheet. Used
Yep.
to get in so much trouble in school. But yeah, long story short, just making art has always been something that I truly like am passionate about because it's a part of me, but it's
Mhm.
also just really cool to now get to share with other people like the things that I've learned, and yeah, hopefully again inspire other people to also go out and kind of take that risk and be fearless with creating art.
Absolutely. And I think it's funny that you say not during class, I was definitely a sketcher during class. I was horrible at school. Oh, I
Oh,
never
it's
paid
terrible.
attention.
Dude, I could literally shout out, I'm not, all the teachers. And actually, I'll tell one funny story,
Yeah,
just
please.
uh, to sweeten everything, whatnot. I used to work at Whole Foods as a cashier,
Oh,
and I did that
sick.
for about 2 years. I loved customer service. That's also something that,
Really?
yeah, I mean, I miss that on a daily basis. The landscape is a lot different
Yeah.
now for sure. But, I was a barista. I worked at my good friend's coffee shop, before I went full time with my art. But yeah, so Whole Foods, man, that was the best and the worst job ever when I worked there. But let's just say the worst of it was, I remember there was a couple managers that were like hired there, and I just remember like I'd be there at maybe like 6 o'clock in the morning, because they open early for like the businessmen, and I'd just be standing at my register, not a soul in sight, just sketching in my.
Yeah.
I had a little book that you'd have to write your vegetable, like, fruit codes in. They're called
Yeah.
POUs. And yeah, I remember I'd just stand there and I'd just be, minding my own business, looking up like every 2 seconds and drawing just whenever nothing was happening. And I was, whew, my God, I have gotten like pulled to the side so many times. And people are just like, hey, like, if you have something better to do, you can just, you can leave if you want.
What?
And I mean, it's just funny because, people would constantly doubt the whole art thing, or, they just would be like, you can't be yourself when you're working
Yeah.
for us. So,
Who
it
is it
quickly,
hurting, right?
yeah, exactly. And, I was also occasionally pulled aside for, talking about like what you're doing outside of work and
Oh
stuff.
my
I have to
gosh.
say, being in customer service, it really helped me a lot, like when I was building my career, to talk to people about what I was passionate about. And it actually led to some really amazing partnerships with people.
Absolutely.
I was able to get my work in Urban Outfitters because I spoke
Whoa.
to some guys that came into the coffee shop I was working at, and I mean now we've had a relationship for like several years, which has been amazing. But if you don't say something when you're working your job, or just like putting your 2 cents in, like, yeah, you never know unless you try.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the moral of this, I guess.
Put yourself
But,
out there. At least try, because I think that I don't know.
yes.
The worst that can happen is you learn an experience, you learn something, and you get to grow from it as well. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's crazy though. I mean, I do relate to that. I will say I relate to the doubting of the vision, the doubting of the growth. Like, it's but it makes it even more fun. Not to say that this is the end goal, but it does make it more fun when you prove them wrong. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh, and I won't name names, but there are definitely some people in my life, like throughout high school especially, that would always just say like, ah, there's just really not much in that. You can try, you can go to art school, uh, but really, like, good luck. Like
Ugh,
it's always gonna be, which
s-
again, I'm like, the
so
gratitude is,
dismissive.
I'm so incredibly like, uh, grateful that anybody would ever be like, "Hey, we like this. We want to see more of that, or we want to
Hmm.
see it at this scale, or with this client match or something." I mean, again, I just want to like be able to tell people what my experiences were
Yeah.
like, working with any of these people, just because it's not widely talked about really in the creative community,
Hmm.
and I just want people to feel protected, especially, and obviously getting paid properly, like
Hmm.
having the
Hmm.
best experience, feeling like they're making the best work that they can make, like when they're working like with more of a structured parameter. So yeah,
Absolutely.
sorry, that was a yap.
No, no, no. Yap away. That's what this show is for. And I feel like, I don't know, you say gratitude, and I agree, like having gratitude and being humble is very important. But in the same breath, like it's earned. You've worked very hard. And it's very obvious that you've worked very hard to get to where you're at. You've done so much work. You've worked with so many clients. You've delivered on so many projects. And it shows in your work too. And you put, 110% of yourself into it. Nothing seems like half half baked. Nothing seems like you compromised based on your, like nothing feels compromised in terms of what you're doing or what you're presenting to a client. And I think that that's really cool, and it's very admirable too that th- your art is so recognizable and that people see the value in that and are continuing. I hope forever to see the value in that, because I like seeing your work. I like seeing the stuff that you do, and you've worked on some really cool projects over the years. I feel like.
Yeah, and I thank you so much for that, dude. I mean, again, I am so like completely like amazed that I'm able to just continue to have relationships with really cool friends that again continue to support that idea and also bring like they encourage that,
Hmm.
like being out there and like being different can be really scary sometimes. And so I just fully embrace like being yourself. And obviously, like we were talking about this earlier, but it's like if you run into a wall, like find a way to fix it or to make it your own. Like if you're curious about like trying a new program, like getting out into your community, even just like meeting a new friend and like meeting up and drawing, like that stuff is so scary. So
Yeah.
it's really like it's been really cool over these past almost 10 years just being able to again navigate through that and of course like to be like a Boise artist. Like I'm really proud of my community and I always want to like hype up that place because it really made me like who I am today.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
And
Definitely am just, yeah.
I mean, I think it's very eloquently said. We have about 10-12 minutes left. So while we have those last 12 minutes, I do want to not only kind of spark a conversation that I've been holding off because I know it's gonna people are gonna I'm gonna show my stripes, but also I want to implement our last mini game, and you can go ahead and keep drawing as I'm kind of implementing this, because I know we're on a bit of a time crunch.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to my board screen, go from your portfolio back to our Firefly boards page, and not actually I don't want to scare you, but this is a little mini game called Crash Report. Adobe Fresco has crashed. You must answer this question, and if you do, you get a point. This is a multiple choice question. This is a fun one, very simple. It's related to Adobe Express, and that is, when was Adobe Fresco officially released? Was it 2019 or was it 2021?
Oh my
It's a
God.
50-50
I
shot.
have to say, I think it's pretty recent. I'm gonna go with 2021.
It was actually released in 2019, if you can believe it. But
No!
it didn't get as much
Crazy.
I don't want to say traction per se, but it wasn't what's the word? It wasn't promoted. Like, it wasn't something that was focused on, but people loved it so
Mhm.
much that they put more and more effort into it. They revamped it, I think in 2022 or 2023. They made it free in 2023, which is awesome. So this used to not be a free program.
Oh.
It used to be something that you had to subscribe to individually, which I think is fine, but I think it's cooler that it's free. I'm just saying. We love art
Interesting. Yeah, no,
accessibility here.
that's definitely why I wasn't aware of it. I think at
Mhm.
that point I was really, immersed in like Photoshop especially. So yeah,
Right.
like 2019, I'm like thinking back. That's crazy.
Do you know what I was
Cool to know.
drawing on in 2019? You'll laugh. It's
No,
crazy.
no, I love this. I could one up you. Tell me.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You'll be surprised. Okay, so this is gonna take some lore for a moment. Everyone, buckle up. Did you ever watch Game Grumps? Are you familiar with Game Grumps?
I'm not. Tell
That
me.
is a-okay. It's a very old, like, I say old, it's not old, but like probably since we've been in middle school, they've been making YouTube content. And they just do gameplay videos. Very simple, no head showing, just voice, screen share, playing video games. So they had two artists on their channel that helped with editing, one named Barry and one named Ross. Um, and they started a series with a game that came out on the Nintendo DS called Pokemon Art Academy. And let me tell you, I was on my little DS Lite and I was messing that game up. I put hours into that game because those streams, like, or those videos that they would post were like 3, 4 hours. So I would just put that on and just draw along with them and just continue to use it. So I was on stylus and DS for almost 3 years. Watermark of the Pokemon Art
Wow.
Academy game. It was so much fun. It was my first introduction to digital art ever, to be honest. And it
That's
was such a
amazing.
accessible way too, because the game was like 20 bucks.
Wow. No, but that's like that's so amazing that you were able to find like your outlet through that. Okay, I can't one up that, but I was doing something crazy that like probably wasn't the right way to
I'm
do
so excited.
anything, but it worked. I was using a sketchbook and was just I was scanning in my illustrations one by one,
Hmm.
and then from there, was going into Photoshop, was using levels to remove the background.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's
I'll
awesome.
share some of my old work once in a while. But yeah, then I would go in and essentially use like a reference layer and add the color. And so it really gave like that crazy
Like
like
crisp.
hand-drawn look because you got like more of a wiggle when you have less stabilization,
Yeah.
obviously.
Wait,
Yeah,
that's
so
wild.
no, the stylist thing is pretty crazy, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
It
That's
is pretty silly.
awesome.
It was fun. It was a fun time. And like, it really kind of just, I don't know, it flexed my creative chops, and I really miss that era, but also I love where I'm at now. It's funny, Cody says, I've been watching Game Grumps for over a decade. We have Game Grumps fans in the chat. I'm glad that it wasn't too niche. So I wanna mention one more thing before we have to go off air, and that is, okay, for you guys that know me, all right, y'all know I love Magic cards, okay? I'm a huge Magic the Gathering fan, and I remember when Ashley posted that her cards got released officially, and when I saw them in the Secret Lair store, for those unfamiliar with how Magic works, every once in a while they'll do these like limited releases where they will reach out to artists to work on a project, and they will release those cards in kind of like a limited kind of like, it's like hype beastie, but not really. Like a drop that, like, is limited quantity, kind of random. And it's so funny because, I had known Ashley before. We have exchanged numbers. We've been friends for a while. And I had no idea, because I'm sure you weren't able to talk about this based off of a contract, that this was coming out. And it came
It
out.
was so hard.
Yeah, I bet. And immediately, I mean, immediately, I was like, dude, like screaming, so stoked. Cause, like, I don't know, like, for some people, it might not be a big deal. I know for you, you said that you felt very thankful, and like, you were super excited. But, like, not only did you get to do some cards, and I'm going to actually, just so people have a bit more context, I'm going to pop over back to my screen here. It was these land cards. So not only did you get to do cards, but you also got to do this bonus card, this slime, if I can scroll down a little bit further here. And
Yeah,
I
it
was
should be. Yeah, there it is.
so cool. And I think I mentioned this to you a couple days ago, that, or maybe a couple weeks ago, that they're expensive, yo. On the secondhand market, like, they are sought after cards.
That is wacky to me. I mean, I know that there is like notoriety to the
Hmm.
card itself, but I mean that's pretty amazing that people are, really like scrambling to buy them. I mean,
Yeah.
from my knowledge, I wasn't given like a schedule of when they were releasing, so it
Right.
was it was pretty devastating when I was posting it the day that they, were releasing it on their website. Everything was sold out already, and
Yeah.
everyone was so sad. But for anybody who's interested, I do have artist cards, and I will be
Yes.
releasing them for not an arm and a leg on my website really, really soon.
That's a really
So
good call out too. Like, I think that um artist proofs are a whole different, like, aspect of the game itself. I wish I think I do have one. I'll show you guys what this looks like while we're wrapping up. But, like, so what's really cool is, I'm like blowing up your spot, and I'm so sorry to make this last half of the
no, I
thing about it. But you
love
should go
it.
to you should go to Ashley's website, and you should buy these, because they're amazing pieces of art, and they're limited to, like, what, 50, something like that. But They
Yeah,
have these
I
little. Oh,
haven't
sorry.
counted how many I have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's, but you, they're limited. Just know that they're limited. So they do these
Limited.
little things. I'm gonna pop over to our face. There we go. Where they have like the regular printing of the card, right? But on the back, they're blank. So sometimes people will do some sketches. And from what I understand, you've done some sketches on yours as well. So you can own a little piece of custom one of one art from Ashley. So you should support her and go buy those and tag Wizards of the Coast and be like, Ashley is so awesome. Do more work. Please, please, please. Because listen, I think that's for a long time, my penultimate goal, like my 10 out of 10 goal, was like to work with Adobe, which was, here we are, which is really cool. Uh Now the goal I think is to work with Wizards of like having some form of bonus or art card. I think it's a bit of a far-fetched dream. Not to say put myself down, but more of there's just so many artists and it's so backlogged that I'd have to really get lucky with the right art director. But I see so many friends getting cards, so many people within my life getting cards, and I'm very excited for them. Like it's like me living vicariously.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, you said this, but never sell yourself short because you never know who is, watching what you're posting on Instagram or anything. I mean, I have to say, dude, like I have no idea how they found me, but I will say like I'm just constantly just sharing bodies of work that kind of tailor towards like larger scheme pictures or I
Right.
mean, illustrations that show more of like a scene or sometimes just character-based things. And I mean, creating that kind of portfolio for yourself for anybody who is also just like wanting to share their work freely, but not wanting to necessarily pay for advertisement and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
I still think social media is not dead. And just
It's
sharing your
not.
work constantly, like that algorithm will work for you, and it did for me. So really, like I think that's the only reason why like I was able to get to this juncture of my career and have like that opportunity was maybe they saw like some kind of happy tree or they saw like a rainbow and they were like, that's the
Yeah,
girl.
that's it.
So
That's the one.
never
That's what
know.
we had in
So just keep
mind.
making that art, Jacob. I can absolutely see you being a magic artist.
Hey, that means so much to me with you saying that. And Ashley, I have to say, we're out of time for today, but you absolutely crushed this. And I had such a good time. It flew by, I feel like. We were just chatting away, having a good time. I'm going to do something fun here, and I'm going to show people even more ease of access with Firefly boards. I'm gonna screenshot your screen right now, and I'm gonna just put your illustration directly into Firefly boards. I'm gonna I guess transition over here. So I have your headshot here and our little leaderboard. And you know what? You tied with Zadak, which I think is pretty dang impressive. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put y'all right
Cool.
beside each other for first place. You're tied for first place, and this is your first time on Art Maxing. I think that's pretty dang cool. I'm gonna square these up really quick. Maybe do this, but yeah, definitely use Firefly boards, guys. It's super convenient, super easy to use, and we can do fun game show stuff like this, where we can highlight our friends and put them on leaderboards. These little fun, silly leaderboards. I'm like talking and designing at the same time. Or here we'll do and symbol. Ashley Dreyfus. Boom.
Woohoo!
Hey, we're on the board, tied for first with Zadak. I'm gonna switch back over to our faces here. Ashley, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and showing your creative process to everyone, and being a part of this for people that may want to stay up to date with what you're doing and with all the cool projects you have coming up. Can you let us know where we can find you and if you have anything cool coming up that you can share?
Yeah. So if y'all want to stay updated with my work, the best way is definitely through Instagram. My handle is at dreyfus.art. I can see it's displayed here on the screen, all convenient. And yeah, like I've got all sorts of fun stuff coming up. Definitely am working on releasing those magic cards in the next couple weeks. I've been pretty behind, as you know, like signing a bunch of cards and drawing on them is pretty time consuming. So I want to like really put some good time into that. And yeah, I'm definitely also planning to do a website drop soon. Hopefully, some new stickers. I'm gonna do some like larger, like 18 by 20 or 16 by 20 posters. So yeah, I'm constantly just kind of doing stuff like that. So stay up to date with me. It's dreyfusart.com is my website name.
Yes, please follow up with Ashley. Stick around with all of their work because you do amazing work. And again, I'm really, really glad that you got to come on here. I'm glad that we got to share the proverbial hot seat together on Adobe Live. And I'm glad that I'm the person that you get to do Adobe Live first with. And I think people really enjoyed it today. It was a ton of fun.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Adobe. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm just so incredibly honored to get to hang out here and draw with y'all. A lot of people don't see the creative process happening like in live time, so it's really cool to get to share on this platform. And obviously, people can rewatch it over and over again too.
Yes, yes,
So
that's a really good
fun.
call out, actually. If you're watching the replay, make sure to leave a comment, like the video, maybe subscribe to Adobe Live to see more Adobe Live, and let them know if you liked this episode because I would love to do this again. I'd love to bring you back on again, Ashley, and I'd love to do more of this. I see some comments and some hearts in chat saying, nice work, Ashley. Thanks. Great job. Thanks, everyone, for hanging. Yes, thank you guys for hanging, and thank you guys for sticking around. I believe, asterisk, there's one more stream after this. Should be MagDL with On the Spot. So make sure to stick around because that'll be a ton of fun. Adobe Live's not over yet. We're back to our regularly scheduled program starting next week, Monday. So, Ashley, thank you so much for being here. Chat, thank you so much for hanging out on your Friday afternoon, morning, evening, or night, wherever you're tuning in from. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.